is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
To return some videotapes. To return some videotapes. To return some videotapes. To return some videotapes. To return some videotapes.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Strange Glow Video. My name is Justin. With me, as always, is my esteemed colleague, co-host extraordinaire, Alec, and looks like you got the kitties there with you. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. This is Yoshi here, but you can see Darwin is in my lap and halfway inside my robe and biting my headphone cable as usual.
He's like, we can't have nice things around here, sir. Good day.
Yeah. Get a boob here. We're talking Captain America today.
Yeah, Captain America, Brave New World. So,
Captain America.
A couple of things just to get this thing off. Apparently, this got a B- cinema score, the worst grade bestowed on any title in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which seems kind of dumb. Still open to 100 million, 100 in the U.S., 192 globally. So,
is that just based on money or what?
The cinema score, I'm not sure where they came up with the B- there, but I'm not worried about it. This is a lot better than a lot of other Marvel movies I've seen.
That's the thing.
So.
It's about midway for me. I don't know. It's not great, but it's not like bad by any means.
Well, first, let's talk the elephant in the room. Harrison Ford.
He's replacing John Hurt, right?
William Hurt, yeah.
William Hurt. John Hurt.
So William Hurt died of, looks like, what was it? Whatever, I was just reading this. So he died of prostate cancer. Bone metastasized terminal prostate cancer. That's a shitty way to go. He was only 71 when he died. Died in 2022, March 13th, 2022. He was diagnosed in May of 2018. So he is only 71, and yet here's Harrison Ford coming in to take over the role. Ford's 82.
Yeah.
Quite the difference in age there. They had to retcon a couple of flashback type scenes and photos and things like that to kind of make it make sense.
Yeah.
So you
the
forget
whole mustache bit.
You forget that he was in there. William Hurt played the character of Thaddeus Ross.
Just going to throw the spoiler warning banner up because we are going to spoil this movie.
But, you know, William Hurt played the role starting in, was it 2008's The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton?
Yep. Same with, what's his face? The villain. What's that actor's name? I know his name. I can't think of it. But he's in Holes with Shia LaBeouf, but he was also in the first Incredible Hulk movie. So
okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, he's in there, right? They kind of used him as the scapegoat, they say in this. Quite a big cast here. Yeah, so there's a lot to this movie that if you didn't watch certain things or go back and revisit them, it may not make as much sense or may not be as enjoyable. The Incredible Hulk, this is when you really had to go back and watch, I would say, to really get the most out of the story.
Yeah, I didn't go back and rewatch it, but I have watched it in the last, 5 years. I do have it on DVD or Blu-ray.
Yeah, I've watched it a few times. I mean, for me, it's in universe, but out of universe, you know what I mean? Since they replaced Edward Norton.
Yeah.
By the time they did Avengers, which, I don't know. I mean, I'm a fan of Edward Norton, but I've also heard all the stories about how difficult he is. So I don't know how all that went down, but
yeah,
not going to stress on it.
But there's also, I mean, the MCU recast people all the fucking time. There's also the big one from Iron Man to Iron Man 2.
Yep.
As well as Ant-Man's daughter literally never being played by the same person.
Yep.
Like the fucking Griswold children out here.
Yep. And then Liv Tyler reprises her role as Betty Ross. So,
yeah.
Which was interesting because she really has a very minimal role in this, right?
She
she's
does
kind of
minimum roles in general these days, so it's probably the only way to get her.
yeah, and it's fine. It's just interesting because she's this side character, background character that is obviously Thaddeus's main motivation. He wants to reconcile with his daughter. So
Yeah, so I don't know. As far as she goes, the best role is from hello Ben Gammon. He's in the chat. He's over from the Ecto-Violence stream earlier.
oh, nice. Welcome.
So I promoted us at the end, and it got us at least something here. Hey, Ben, welcome. We're talking this, and what are we talking about? Liv Tyler right now. So
yeah,
I like her in That Thing You Do and Lord of the Rings movies. My favorites. Oh, and Empire Records.
yeah, Empire Records. She's pretty stellar in. Yeah, so has such a minimal role in this, but obviously she's the off-screen motivation for this. We see photos of her around, so I'd assumed at some point in time we'd see her on screen a time or two.
Yeah.
So we do see her a couple of times there.
So obviously Anthony Mackie is Captain America. I think that's
Mhm.
solid performance. The only thing is it feels like he's still struggling with the same shit he did all throughout the whole season of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like he hasn't
Imposter syndrome. Yeah, he's still
like he
dealing with
hasn't
that.
gotten over that yet, which is I don't know. It's fine, I guess. It's just that I already had a whole season of that.
Yeah. What do you think of Danny Ramirez? Is Joaquin Torres the Falcon?
He's fine. Wasn't he in
He was in the
was in the
series as
show.
well. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
introduced.
They kind of set him up. He was his friend that worked with him.
Yeah,
on
I
all the
liked
Falcon mission, so
I like that in there. I
He's
thought
fine,
he did
yeah.
he did a good job in the role.
And then the guy as Isaiah Bradley again back from the series. The only thing I didn't like is they kind of like in order to fill people in who didn't watch that series, they made like his whole like, oh yeah, the government captured me for 30 years seem almost like a punchline joke.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked that his character did get some more serious shit going on and whatnot. I like that he's able to not be completely serious all the time. I'm not saying the character needs to be that, but like, I don't know, it was a little weird, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, so Isaiah Bradley coming back from the series. That's interesting to have another super soldier in there and to not utilize him. Right? That seems like somebody that could have been a good opponent against Red Hulk, but whatever. So, and then we are introduced to another Black Widow. So that's Ruth Bat-Seraph. She's a security advisor in this.
Mm-hmm.
She was interesting.
There's very interesting political opinions about this character since she's Israeli.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, just because this character is Israeli means the makers of this movie are Zionists now.
Yeah, I mean, you're not allowed to do anything right in this world if you don't fucking comply with what the richest white men in the world tell you. So I don't know what to tell you.
It's like I'm specifically commenting on how the left is kind of eating itself out right now. I didn't mean that to sound like that, but eating itself from the inside out because it's like they're hating on each other about this Israeli-Palestine thing. If you have any sort of sympathy for Israel at all, you're like a fucking Zionist monster to these people who are just too far gone on the left and are basically supporting straight up terrorism. And there is a middle ground. But anyway, this is Captain America, which it seems like, there's a lot of that whole, this is the president, regardless of who it is, we gotta yada yada.
Funny how that mirrors real life to some degree, right? Isn't it? Just some stupid shit. You're like, oh, we have all got to back him.
Yeah, but in this, if Captain America was saying that about Donald Trump, I'd be like, man, Captain America's smoking some crack.
Yeah.
He's on drugs.
You know who I thought did amazing in this film, but we didn't get to see very much of him, was Sidewinder. Giancarlo Esposito was fucking great.
He's good in everything.
Good yeah, he's one of those guys, man. No matter what you see him in, he's good.
I thought he was fine. He's like cool, but like not that cool, I guess. I don't know.
The overall feeling though, that just talking in general terms of this movie is, I didn't feel like there was a great villain in this. right? There's just too many.
Well, there's only one real villain, and it's the fucking what's his name? Stills
Stern.
Stern. He looked kind of cool, although I did see that there was stuff online where he had like a goatee in their original renderings, and like even Funko Pop figures were released for pre-order that had like a completely different look for him.
Oh, okay. I wonder if it just didn't test well or something.
I don't know, but I like this look. It reminded me of like 80s horror movies, like his glowing eyes and just kind of green skin and shit. Like I liked that.
Yeah.
Other than that, he kind of was annoying because he's supposed to be this genius and he was kind of just a dumbass. And he was also like throwing fucking temper tantrums and shit like a bitch. I don't know.
Well, the thing that made him boring as a villain to me is like his whole thing is trying to get revenge, and he's this smart guy and he's all calculating these risks, and he's boring because he doesn't do anything himself, right? He's always having someone else do all the fighting for him. So he's not like a baddie you want to fight.
Right.
And he's manipulative, and I just don't think that character was written very well. Like, I think it was just like kind of boring. You're like, okay, so this guy's so smart, but he's not smart enough to not be consumed by his own desire for revenge.
Yeah.
Like, it just seemed like somebody that's truly that smart and intelligent would want more, because they'd be able to distinguish or determine that, you know, the best chances of me getting revenge are for me to be successful in a different way than just to try to take this guy down.
Yeah.
Seems like a very long time coming for the Red Hulk to make his an appearance, though. You know what I mean? Considering how long the MCU's been around.
I mean, it's fine. They got to start putting some of this weird shit in here eventually.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, it is like we've seen Hulk before. And, you know, when this shows up, it's like, okay, there's two other Hulks in this world now. And neither of them is like, I should do something.
Well,
She-Hulk is more of a, I don't want to be a hero type. So you can say that.
Anti-hero, I get that. Sure.
Bruce Banner, if he knew someone else was hulking out, I feel like I'd be like, all right, I got to fucking do something about this. I don't know. Maybe I'm the crazy one. But there's so many other people in here. Let's talk about this. Bucky showing up and just being like, hey, sorry, dude, I got to go. I got like, I'm gonna get some takeout on the way. And
I've got to do my own movie here, man. So like, I'm just going to stop by the set of yours while we're doing mine.
Yeah.
Cool. The only thing and that's just purely set up for the Thunderbolts, because that's only a couple months away.
Yeah.
And they basically say that he's making his campaign for Congress.
Yeah.
And then the Black Widow in there basically makes the comment, you know, that she's interested. I mean, he's like, even though he's 110, she's like, I can work with that. So,
I mean, look at him. I could work with that too. Shit.
I mean, you're just dealing with, you know, it's just kind of silly, but it's good. So,
Ben Gammon says, which Hulk film or series is your favorite? Controversial take, but for me, it's She-Hulk. I loved She-Hulk. And, you know, what do we have? The Eric Banton one. You got the Lou Ferrigno series.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a cartoon series for a bit around the time they were doing all those, maybe a season or two. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's some movies like Hulk versus Wolverine and stuff that I haven't really seen, the animated versions. And then, I mean, you could, if you wanted to, include some Avengers or Ragnarok and stuff like that. But for me, it's She-Hulk. I just loved it.
Well, and that's all rights, though. I mean, that's the problem with Hulk is that Hulk couldn't do a standalone picture because Universal still owns that, and how Disney hasn't figured out a way to buy that outright or work with Universal to like make a standalone Hulk picture in this universe is beyond me. Like, they figured it out for Sony. But I guess I would say my favorite is Hulk in the original Avengers is pretty good, because like that's beyond, you know, that's just a good representation of Hulk on screen. I thought you get a good Banner in there and you get a good Hulk. That's not to say that the 2008 Hulk movie is better than people give it credit for, I would say. Most people just don't revisit it because it isn't as ingrained in everyone's mind. And with the change to Edward Norton, I feel like had they not changed actors, that people would rewatch that movie all the time. right? I feel like the
Yeah.
rewatchability immediately goes up because you don't change that. But I feel like because one of your leads changed, even though there's plenty of people in the subcast that have made other appearances, right? You know, we get the Abomination makes his appearance in. He was in She-Hulk, was he not?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then She-Hulk I like just because it was quirky, it was different, it was something that was refreshing and new when the MCU is feeling pretty stale. Post Endgame, right? Post Endgame, like where do you go? You almost needed like a reset.
Yeah.
But here we are. So,
What? Did you see a bunch of trailers before your movie?
sure did.
Sure. You saw the Thunderbirds one and the Fantastic Four,
Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, yeah.
Jurassic World.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, so I went into this movie, you know, just because I'm a fan of Anthony Mackie as
Yeah.
Captain America, you know, and as the Falcon before. He has a good role in the films, I think, in the series and stuff. And I think, you know, he did a good job leading the picture as the hero, but to your point though, they did kind of undermine some of the series because they made it so you didn't have to really see the series to understand this.
Yeah.
They kind of retconned the series to just be its own little.
If I'm being honest, I think I like the series more than this movie.
Yeah, I did too because you get better character depth and growth. Right.
I really like having the Anthony Mackie versus U.S. Agent with Bucky there and everything that's implicated in that series. I just loved the introduction of Isaiah Bradley. All that stuff is great to me.
Yeah.
The things I liked about this one. It did feel more classic MCU, like back before everything was gritty and before the last two eras of essentially post Endgame and then pre Endgame, where that's all we were doing was talking about Endgame and Infinity War coming up.
It did feel like a lead up to. I mean, this felt like a natural successor to Captain America: Civil War, right? The stakes weren't like so gigantic that it was annoying or anything like that. It felt like it just fit in there and kind of had some room to breathe without everything being like end of the world all the time.
Yeah. So that's what's interesting. The Thunderbolts are going to clearly be in play because there are no Avengers right now confirmed.
Yeah.
Um,
And that was, you know, this movie does set up a lot of that stuff. It says, okay, we do want the Avengers back. And so I was curious, though, that they didn't name who the next president was in this, you know, just because like who would have taken over for that role. And it may not matter in the grand scheme of things, but I figured if Ross is trying to do that as president, then obviously someone else has that same notion or something is, you know, we know what's coming down the pipeline, at least from movie titles and such. So,
well, Anthony Mackie at the end was also saying to, you know, Joaquin
Falcon, yeah, basically, yeah, you know, we're going to do this. Wants him on the team.
And there's still other characters like they were supposed to do. Did they cancel that Don Cheadle show? War Machine. They were going to do that Armor Wars or whatever. Then they talked about doing it into a movie. I don't even know if that's coming anymore. But.
So a lot of that stuff just kind of disappeared, and I honestly don't know the state of it just because I'm not reading every article about it. But
that's the thing. I think that's fine. He doesn't need his own series, but he could pop up in some shit from time to time. This would have been a decent place to pop up, to be honest.
Well, he already has that relationship as a government liaison. And so to see him working closely with the Falcon here would make a lot of sense to say that, hey, you know, they're kind of eye to eye now.
Yeah.
And then you've also got Ironheart coming at some point in time too. So maybe they're trying to figure out a way to do that because
they might have merged that entirely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Did they just kind of redo that, right? Because a lot of people didn't see Black Panther 2. And, you know, that's where Ironheart is introduced, even though she's supposed to have a series and everything else. So that's kind of one of those things that got convoluted in the whole MCU at the moment.
Well, that's the thing is there's the celestial being from the Eternals in here. And I never saw the Eternals.
I watched the Eternals once just to say I'd seen everything in the MCU. And that was the only reason I knew what the hell was going on when they talked about that. I was like, okay, so that was worth watching once. And it's not that it's a good picture, but that story itself, like, retcons a ton of other shit and other implications within the MCU that it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, they're telling this story here, and it's basically saying, no, all the stuff we know about gods and everything else, basically it contradicts Thor and other characters we're well familiar with. And so it was like, okay, well, I don't know what you're going to do with that then.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's just one of those things.
I will
and
say, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the post-credits thing, nothing too excited. Even I don't even remember what happened, to be honest. I remember it was on the raft.
Yeah.
And he's going to see what's his face, but that's about it.
Yeah, he goes to see our old pal Samuel Stearns there. So and he basically just says, like, you think you're the only one here, right? Basically implying the multiverse there. Like, but we all know that's already coming. So to me, that was kind of pointless. But the fact of the matter is that just made Sam aware of it in the whole grand scheme of things, right? And then so at some point in time, Red Hulk is going to come out and be a hero because, right, that's how Red Hulk eventually ends up, right? Kind of starts out as an anti-hero, eventually becomes just a regular part of the hero team.
At this point, I'm just starting to wonder what the fuck they're doing with X-Men.
Well, we finally got adamantium in there, right? Okay, so they're going to explain that.
I noticed that as soon as they were talking about it, I was like, "Is this how they're introducing adamantium?" And then they did, and I was like, "Sick! All right, I'm that's fine, I guess."
So that has a few implications in the grand scheme of the MCU, right? Either the Wolverine, we just saw Deadpool and Wolverine, so we know that there's multiverses out there, but in the prime MCU canon, Wolverine has not been created yet because they don't have adamantium yet.
But here's the thing, are there even mutants in this universe? Because at the end of what? The Marvels? One of them wakes up at the X Mansion with Beast from the Fox universe.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, if we're not going to merge into the Fox universe, why do you guys keep touching it? Because it makes me feel like you're going to, but I feel like these characters are just too old. Unless, if you're going to use Michael Fassbender as Magneto, I'm fully down for that. And what's his face is Charles Xavier. Like the younger cast of that would be fine with me. Wolverine's
I just
going to be an issue. You know what I mean?
Well, unless you're going to these other, unless they're doing it just for multiverse shit, and then they go with their own thing, and that's what I'm wondering if they're going to do that. If they're going to finish out this multiverse shit, and then they go back to the regular Prime, and then have mutants.
Well, they're going to have to fuse the Fantastic Four with this universe somehow, or
they're going to have to get trapped or something. Yeah, or there's going to be
otherwise,
more than one iteration. Yeah, it's a messy
the fact
point
that it's in a different universe is like mildly interesting, but it's also like, okay, you're just doing that so you can have them not in the same universe. So like I get it to some extent, but also like,
but to be honest with you,
you're convoluting shit even more.
That trailer looked very fresh because of that. It just felt like, okay, I haven't seen this a million times. Like, how are they going to shoehorn this in?
It felt very MCU-ish though. Like,
yeah, it did. But
here's the problem. I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy, so it doesn't feel crazy to me. I've seen Ant-Man movies, Quantumania, so this looks not crazy at all to me. It just looks like, I get it, the retro future stuff, mildly.
Well, and you got to remember that, like, people love the Guardians of the Galaxy now, but the only reason they went with the Guardians of the Galaxy was because Fox had the rights to the Fantastic Four. But going Guardians opened up a lot of these other space characters that they could get access to this way.
Yeah.
So now going back to Captain America Brave New World, one thing that I really did enjoy and was impressed with was the animation of the Hulk.
Yeah.
Like, that really looked like Harrison Ford and felt like it, even more so than, say, earlier renditions of Bruce Banner Hulk's version, right? It just seemed like it really felt like Harrison Ford in there, which I thought was pretty good. Captured the mannerisms pretty well and some of the things there, but that was fascinating to see.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Watching the movie the whole time, you know Harrison Ford is gonna turn into a Hulk. So every time they're laying the breadcrumbs, you're like, yes, I've seen this, I've heard this, all of this. I've seen the trailer once, and I know what the movie's going for. Yes.
Yeah, and they really took their time spelling it out that, he was poisoning him the whole time to create this monster.
Mm-hmm.
While at the same time, okay, you create another anti-hero who's going to turn into a hero at some point in time, right? So we're at that phase in the MCU where there's a ton of anti-heroes kind of doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, what would you rate this movie out of 10?
5.
That low, huh? Okay.
I mean, that's 50%. I liked half of it I didn't care for. I didn't
Yeah.
love it, didn't hate it. If I was to rank all the Captain America movies off the top of my head, first one is probably 7.5.
Okay.
Second one, if we're on an MCU scale, because if I'm talking about best movies all time for me personally, it's not going to be very high. I mean, it'll be like a 8 maybe. But if we're just doing MCU scale, I'd say 8.5, 9. Civil War, probably up there as well, 9.
Mm-hmm.
The series, probably an 8.
Yeah.
I like them all pretty well. This is definitely my least favorite out of all the Captain America stuff, but that's
Well, it's
you know.
interesting because it wasn't the performances.
No.
It was what they did with some of the characters, which sucks.
And the plot.
Because
I mean, and
Yeah.
and just MCU fatigue in general, I think, doesn't help. So
No, but I mean, obviously Sam, Captain America is great. The Falcon is great. I mean, hell, even Harrison Ford, I thought, did a good job coming into this role. I don't know. I mean, I almost wonder, like, would they have recast him before? Like, did William Hurt have enough star power to star opposite of him here? Would he have been recast anyway? Had he not passed away? I don't know.
I don't think they'd do that to him
Yeah,
at that
well,
point because he wasn't just in Hulk.
no,
He was in Civil War. He was in some of Iron Man movies too, right?
He had 5 credits in the MCU. So,
Okay, I mean, that's a lot right there.
yeah. Yep. So, yeah, I would say I'd give it a 7. I mean, the performances were great. I think everyone did well with the material they were given. The story was a little lackluster in spots. We all knew what was going to happen. We all knew the Red Hulk was going to be there. So to wait for the final act to do anything with it, it was visually, it was fun to watch. It was entertaining, but it was lackluster because we knew it was coming and we had to fucking wait so long for it.
That's the
Right.
thing is the MCU can't make a trailer now that doesn't show us the Red Hulk and only hints at it. They can't do that. So that makes it seem like the movie's fucking around by putting him only at the end. Because I feel like if we straight up didn't know that he was going to be in it, and then we kind of were like, wait, what's this with the pills and shit? And like, oh my God, is he
Yeah.
a monster? And then he turns into the Red Hulk. We'd be like, holy shit, that rules. Even if people gathered it and it was sort of like an online rumor and everything.
Yeah,
think we
if
would
it's
have.
speculation, I felt like people would have been more surprised. Had I not known he was coming, I would have enjoyed that whole sequence a lot more. Like I said, I had fun with it, but I was literally waiting the entire movie for years. Like, get fucking to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Sebastian standing there, that was like disappointing that he's there and he basically just says he loves him. I'm like, okay, well, we already know that. You guys worked it all out in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right? That
It's
was a
just the
great
dick
series
tease.
for that. Yeah.
It's like, hey, how about you, the super soldier, go to this? I'll go be in Congress, you fucking asshole.
Yeah. So just interesting. I mean, they're tying up a lot of loose ends, and I would say for the Incredible Hulk stuff, yeah, in the last couple of years, we've seen more loose ends tied up. We saw the Abomination return. We saw Ross make
Hulk
his
and She-Hulk were
yeah.
in that show, so
Yeah, so I mean, we got a lot. We got a lot of stuff from the Incredible Hulk world that kind of tied up some loose ends there, but this just wasn't. I don't know. This one just doesn't have a lot of rewatchability for me. So
yeah.
even the post-credit scene, I wasn't hyped. I was more hyped seeing the trailer for Thunderbolts, and I was more hyped seeing the trailer for Fantastic Four than I was after I walked out of there. And like I said,
Yeah.
there's things I really enjoyed in this movie. Performances were top notch, because I don't want to get that misconstrued. Like, everyone did great with what they had to work with, but the writing was just like, and it took them forever to get this thing going too. I mean, I think they started writing this as soon as the series was done, or coinciding with the series, right? So I was like, okay.
Yeah. I might be the first person to say I think the Thing from the original Fantastic Four, the practical effects might be better than the new one based on the trailer, or just the effect of the Thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I saw a screen grab earlier, like comparing all three versions of the Thing side by side.
Mm-hmm.
Only they forgot the scrap '90s movie, so it was like, come on, guys.
Yeah. Roger
But yeah,
Corman, Fantastic Four.
that's one of those things you just have to have. I don't know. That's a tough thing to do, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they're not going to do that in a modern day, for sure. But I would have liked to see it been practical still. But I don't know. I've just never given too much of a shit about the Fantastic Four. At least they're doing Galactus right. Fudge on the trailer, so that's cool. And Julia Garner as the Silver Surfer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested. I'm interested in what it's going to bring to the MCU. But then we have to remember that Robert Downey Jr. is cast as Doctor Doom. He's not going to be in this movie, but for probably a post-credit scene.
Yeah, because I mean, they already show us Galactus in this fucking movie, so
Yeah, so
I'm assuming there's some sort of loss in this that makes them makes them go through the multiverse, and this is pure speculation right now, but go through the multiverse to stop Galactus from coming and other universes and doing the same thing. You know what I mean? That's the vibe I get. Now, the interesting thing about Fantastic Four, though, while we're on the subject, so Ebon Moss-Bachrach, he is in the show. I guess he was in the first show of the season of The Punisher, but that's not what I watch him for. He's in. I'm trying to remember the TV show title. Let me go pull it up here. Oh yeah, The Bear. The TV show The Bear, which is a fucking phenomenal TV series, and so he's really good in that. So I'm interested to see him play somebody that's like a different type of character in this film.
I saw clips of the Bear and was like, "Fuck that! I'm not watching that show." I don't. It gave me Gordon Ramsay vibes, like toxic kitchen culture shit, and I'm like, nah.
No,
where they just treat everybody like shit in kitchens. Like that's all the clips I see are people yelling and being dickheads in kitchens.
There's a lot of PTSD for the main character from his experience to get where he's at in that, and he tries not to be that person. So it's more involved than that. But yeah, because I'm not a Gordon Ramsay fan myself, but he's great in that series. And then Joseph Quinn obviously is the Human Torch. That'll be very interesting because he fucking blew up as soon as he was Eddie Munson in Stranger Things. So
yeah,
we're gonna see what happens there.
Then he was in Gladiator 2, which I didn't see.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet
He's
either.
moved on up. He's also in the Quiet Place movie that came out last summer. And Pedro Pascal, that's fine. I think he'll do a good job.
Yeah, he's good. I mean, he's in so much stuff right now, and it's interesting to see, especially across like some of the Star Wars stuff. They basically
Disney's like, I'm going to put this toy over here now.
Basically, and he's not even really doing the acting on set anymore for The Mandalorian. And
he was doing some of it before, yeah.
Early on, but then he said it was like too physical or something, and I'm like, wait, you since went on did The Last of Us, the TV series, and now you've done Fantastic Four, and so like he's literally just doing the voice work for The Mandalorian, which is fine. Like, I don't care if he's under there or not, but just be transparent about it, Doesn't matter to me, right? That's the whole thing about a character like that.
Yeah.
Oh, we need you on set today. You take your helmet off. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the Robert Downey Jr. thing, I still have very mixed feelings on. I just like we already saw him in this universe, his face. I just don't like. It seems so weird and desperate. Like I don't. Is it so that when he comes into the other universe, you can have people go, "What the fuck is this? Oh my god!" And I just, you know what I mean? Like,
Was that totally there just to be in mind fuck to people saying like Iron Man didn't die, he turned into a bad guy? Because clearly that's not how this is all going to play out. But
right.
I don't know. I mean, it's so convoluted at this point, which we all should have seen coming, right? You know, the more in depth you get with this, the more robust the series gets, the more
Yeah.
characters you bring in and everything like that. It's harder and harder to do these stories that intertwine as nicely as they all did by Endgame.
Yeah.
But, you know, they got the Russo brothers back for the next Avengers movie. So I'm like, to get them back, I'm assuming they've got a plan that they think is worthwhile and manageable to do that, because otherwise they'd be like, fuck, I don't want to touch that if it's that convoluted. Right.
Right.
I mean, I mean, they basically made two fucking perfect Avengers movies.
They
You know?
made, didn't they do Winter Soldier
Mm-hmm.
and Civil War before they did those too? So,
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think they would come fucking tarnish their legacy just for money when they've clearly done very well for themselves. At least that's what I'm telling myself right now. Time
yeah.
could tell us that they did it just for the money. I'm hoping that's not the case, though. So,
Yeah. We'll have to see.
yeah, but I give this a solid 7 out of 10. You know, it was good. Wasn't the best. Wasn't the worst. There's been
Yeah.
some stuff out there that just I don't know. The further we get into this, though, the rewatchability kind of goes away. Because if that content's just not top tier, it's
That's the
tough.
thing is, I'll still get the hankering to go through and watch Iron Man 2, hell, even Iron Man 3. At least
Hmm.
the first Thor Ragnarok. I usually skip Dark World, but I'll watch Avengers, all of the
Yeah.
Captain Americas. The first two Guardians, the third one's just too sad and fucking for me. I'm like, I don't like the vibes. Same with Ant-Man. I'm like, the first two are great. The third one I won't watch. The vibes are just off. That ain't the one.
Yeah. And they got to that point where, you know, then they had to pivot too. And then, yeah, it's just so convoluted right now.
Yeah.
It's tough dealing with that because you're like, so what do you do? Because you're going off speculation. You're not allowing anything to play out. You know, you're going by potential charges instead of like a jury finding anything one way or the other. So it's a fucking mess, man. And I'm hoping they've pivoted in a way that makes things make sense. That's good. Like I really want it to be good.
Well, that's the thing is I feel like for the last 2 years we've been like that. We've been like, all right, this next MCU thing could save it all.
Yeah, and we just haven't gotten there, yo. You know what I mean?
I still like Spider-Man is still one of my favorite things that's come out, regardless of its. I mean, it wasn't as good after the first watch, but it's still pretty fun. It's just cool to see those characters back again and whatnot. But like Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. I liked it enough.
It's good because it kind of shows you the possibility. It was the first time they had the rights to the Fox stuff, so they're like, okay, we're gonna do some cool shit here. But is it just me, or does it just feel like this phase is taking entirely way too fucking long to wrap up?
Well, we're in another phase now.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like this multiverse phase, like it just feels like this has gone on way too long at this point.
Well, that's the thing. It's like how many phases are there now? Hold on, let me look this up.
So through Endgame was phase 4, right? And then phase 5 was the TV series for the most part. And they said like phase 5 was the longest series out of as far as total watch hours and content because of all the TV series they threw into that phase.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound right according to your research?
Let me see. So phase 1 is Iron Man through Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it. I'm on the wrong page, apparently. Let me see. We need. Okay, there we go, I guess. So the multiverse saga starts with Phase 4.
Okay.
For just movies, it's Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, Love and Thunder, and Wakanda Forever. So Phase 5, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, The Marvels, Deadpool and Wolverine, Brave New World, Thunderbolts. Fantastic Four kicks off Phase 6.
Okay. So Phase 6 goes through these next couple of Avenger movies to end the multiverse saga, assuming they don't
And
keep fucking with it.
and a new Spider-Man movie. And it says future planned movies still. Armor Wars, Black Panther 3, which is fucking insane. Blade, Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings, an untitled X-Men movie.
So the crazy thing about Black Panther 3, and I'm all for Black Panther 3, the first Black Panther movie is fucking phenomenal. The second one, they really fucked up just because they didn't want to recast Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
And from what I've been hearing about Black Panther 3 is that they're going to have a regular Black Panther back in there. So I don't know if his son's going to be grown up immediately or what.
I mean, it can be a woman Black Panther. That's fine if that's what they decided. It's just the fact that that character's untimely death, that character was so important. And then for him to have to die on off screen, and then it's just
Yeah.
you've lost it. And it's not your fault, but it's gone. Ben Gammon says, how much MCU physical media do you have? I have almost all of the full Infinity Saga on Blu-ray. Almost. I'm missing like one or two. I think I don't have Thor Dark World and like one other movie maybe in there. Don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to go pull all mine out and look because some of it, I was still fucking buying on DVD because this shit started so long ago, right? So the first
Yeah.
couple of Iron Man movies, I think, are just DVDs, and I haven't upgraded yet just because I got digitals of all of them, and half the shit's on Disney Plus. So,
Yeah.
and then when they've done the huge box sets over there, I'm just like, you guys are fucking insane for the price you want for these box sets, considering half the people have already bought them from you once.
Now Ryan Coogler has a movie coming out. Did you see the trailer for Sinners?
Which one was that?
Starring Michael B. Jordan.
I did not see the trailer for that.
Well, it takes place during Jim Crow era, right?
Okay.
The premise says trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers Smoke and Stack, both played by Michael B. Jordan, return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. It looked like From Dusk Till Dawn in the sense that it looked like a Jim Crow era gangster movie, and then all of a sudden there's like Evil Dead shit happening.
Fuck yeah, I'm all on board for that, man. That sounds awesome.
It does. And there's music. Music is a big part of it too. Like there's live performances, and then there's like, obviously racist white dudes doing shit, trying to burn barns down and shit. And
Yeah.
honestly, the trailer blew me away. I was like, holy shit, that looks dope. Gives me From Dusk Till Dawn vibes of like, all of a sudden it's going to turn into an Evil Dead movie.
Oh, that'd be good. But I'd want to be surprised on that.
Yeah.
I'd want to be surprised on that because when my friend Tony showed me From Dusk Till Dawn, he basically just typed up the bank heist part at the beginning. He's like, oh, this is really cool. And then he just fucking watched it play out the rest of the way. And it was phenomenal because I didn't know what was coming.
Unfortunately, it's in the trailer, so
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
It might be one of those things where that happens pretty early on in the movie. But I would like to think that it happens like just midway through it, all of a sudden it's just like boom. But it looks good.
Yeah, no, that's exciting.
Shang-Chi, like the first one was okay. I thought it was pretty decent, but I've never rewatched it. And
I rewatched it once and I had a good time with it for a character that I wasn't super familiar with. It was one of the more fun movies because it was an origin story that kind of fit into its own thing in a time when we weren't getting a lot of origin stories. We were getting mostly sequels. And so that was pretty interesting to see there. And then especially seeing the character, not MODOK, but what was his name?
Who?
The villain from Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3.
The terrorist.
Oh, the Mandarin. That's not the actual
Yeah, yeah.
Mandarin, though. Yeah.
Yeah, but the actor who is the Mandarin like winds up over there, like in that movie, and I thought that was a great use of him coming back. Just because he was a doofy kind of actor guy that wasn't really the villain.
Yeah.
So
Because it's the 10 Rings.
yeah, they've done some cool shit there. But I'm excited for the next in that series. I mean, that looks good. I had a fun time with it.
It's the thing. Everything that Marvel has planned coming forward, 2 Avengers movies, a Spider-Man movie, an X-Men movie, Fantastic Four, and Thunderbolts. I don't give a shit about. Honestly, like I'll give a shit about Blade when I see pictures from the movie or something. Same with Shang-Chi. Like I don't really give a fuck necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever else, I don't give a shit.
When does the Shang-Chi sequel come out? Is that outside
None of that.
the?
Yeah, none of that's listed in here. It just says
Because the problem with that becomes is if he's going to be part of the new Avengers, you can't. I mean, they can, but it's not like they've typically done in the past where they would take him, throw him into the Avengers, and then do his sequel. I mean, they easily could, but
who?
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi? I don't think
Yeah.
enough people give a fuck about that guy to be a mainstream Avenger, though.
Yeah.
Either. I don't. If that's like, there's like 2 or 3 people in the Thunderbolts that I'm like, you can cut that one.
Yeah. Well, it's just like the Marvels. Like I really liked Miss Marvel, right? That was a great film. I enjoyed that a lot. And then the Marvels, it just seemed like it was just too bloated. They didn't know what they wanted to do, but they had to get from point A to point B to tell the story to set up other shit.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating when they're doing some of that shit. I don't know.
It says Avengers Doomsday is May 2026. Spider-Man
All right.
July 2026. Another Avengers May 2027.
Yeah, allegedly, Tom Holland leaked through like one of his charities or something that the next Spider-Man movie is shooting this summer, starting in May, I want to say. Read that earlier this week.
Could be interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where the stuff goes, but I'm also at the spot where I'm just like, they've done so many things like the Moon Knight miniseries. Where are they going to go with that? Is that character
the
just
thing
done?
is, some characters like that, I think, are done until they have a reason to appear in somebody else's movie in a small role, or appear in like Secret Wars. Like Secret Wars will probably be another thing where we're seeing most of our current heroes or anybody that we haven't seen in a while who's still active. Like, well, I bet we might not see She-Hulk till Secret Wars, but I bet we see her in Secret Wars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Stuff like that. Same with Moon Knight. I don't think we're going to see him again till maybe that, if we're lucky.
Oh, and then at the end of the Moon Knight series, they set up what's his name from Game of Thrones to play another character, which I haven't heard a peep of, besides his cameo as that character since the end of that show. So I don't know. Interesting stuff.
It is interesting, considering especially that we were going to be doing Kang the Conqueror movies. And that's where this all came from, is him getting canceled and them being like, fuck all this. These movies aren't working.
Well, yeah, like instead of just recasting that character.
Well, but I
don't
mean,
know.
it's stuff like after the Ant-Man and Quantumania, people were like, this is your villain. Ant-Man just beat him, dude. Fuck off.
Well, yeah, and that pretty much wrapped that up because Ant-Man beat him there. It was basically saying, like, who's he going to defeat? He's not all-knowing and powerful.
Yeah.
Which then kind of fucked off Loki season 2 because it just kind of took away from what that was building towards. It was like, this season doesn't really matter anymore.
So,
I don't know. You get to the point where you start missing some of the small scale stuff. At the same time, you're like, it's big enough now they can just do different Earths and all that other shit, and they get as weird as they want with it if they choose to go that way.
The problem we're having at this point is it's just unrealistic for any one of these movies to go on without interference from one of the other 100 superpowered people on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just I can't believe that no one would show up in any of these scenarios or situations. Like
Well, yeah,
literally,
there's
I remember thinking that the first time watching like the Spider-Man movies, and he's like, "There's no Avengers. We need your help, Spider-Man." And it's like, okay, you're literally asking a child because one of these other thousands of people isn't available. Like,
hmm Well, yeah,
I get
because
it.
the Civil War broke the team up, and they're like, okay.
But by the time he's in that movie, it's post Endgame. Tony Stark is dead,
hmm
and he's like passes his glasses over to what's his face, and he's like in Europe, and Sam Jackson's like, "We need you," and why is there no one helping? Like it's just one of those things. I can't. I watch every time I watch something MCU related, I think this now. So
Well, and then the other crazy thing is to think of is like, as big as the MCU is, villains come from Europe and occasional, but there's like no heroes that are Europe based that we really have explored yet.
yeah, not quite. Asia, we've done
Yeah, but
with
like just Europe in general, right? I mean, considering you've got villains in there from Captain America, and then you've got, you know, um, obviously the Black Widows is a European thing, Russian thing. So you've got some of that there, but you just don't have any heroes there that could have helped Spider-Man. To your point, like there's nobody over there that's going to help intervene with this.
I can think of one British character.
Yeah,
What's her name?
Peggy Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So
but yeah, I mean, we have Red Guardian, who's from Russia, and obviously the
mhm.
Shang-Chi and
Yeah, but to your point, who else is going to help Spider-Man out over there? But yeah, but why is Sam Jackson asking a child to do this?
well, it doesn't have to. They don't have to be there. Like these people travel all over the world for shit. They're in like
Mhm.
all sorts of fucking like. Look at goddamn Avengers. Any Avengers fucking movie. They're all over the goddamn planet. It's like a goddamn
Mhm.
Indiana Jones movie when these fuckers get together.
Yeah. But when you think about it, there's a huge lack of like European characters, right? We've got Wakanda, right? So we've got all that. So we've been to Africa, we've been to Wakanda, done that. We've been over in China, we've done that. So we've got all these things going on, and then you're just like, but we're gonna do a movie in Europe, but oh well, we're gonna have to move Spider-Man over there. And you're like, really? That's the game plan. Okay.
Which I will say, come on, Spider-Man's a New York character. Get the fuck back in New York, you goddamn bastards.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Sokovia is apparently in Europe.
Yeah, the Sokovian Accords, but
No,
so
no.
you
What's her face is from where are they from? Yeah, Wanda and Pietro.
Scarlet Witch, yeah.
They're from there too.
But you look how much time they've had, and are they mutants or are they not mutants? That's the other question that they've never really answered in this version of. And then they just killed her brother off, who
Stop chewing the microphone.
wound up in the Sonyverse, and we saw how well that movie did. Craven the
Yeah.
Hunter, Craven the. Not going to help Sony make any more Spider-Man movies, I can tell you that.
Yeah, not gonna work here anymore.
That extended Spider-Verse, man, is so bad. Like I saw the first Venom movie, I didn't ever see any of the sequels. They've done
I don't
3
care
of them
about
now,
Venom
haven't
if Spider-Man's not there. Like that's. I'm sorry, I don't.
Well, and I get that they went with the Ultimate Comics reboot, right, where Miles Morales came from and things like that. So, Venom was its own thing. He didn't come from Peter Parker. Okay, you retcon that in this new version. That's fine, but they never explained that. So everyone that was like a casual Spider-Man fan from the 90s knew that it came from that, and they go see this movie and they're like, what the fuck? What is this? It just didn't make sense to anybody. You had to be a fucking comic kid to like understand that for it to make sense to you at all.
Yeah.
Which I think was detrimental to them. And then obviously with Morbius and then Craven the Hunter, like I know you want to do like a Sinister Six movie here, but
Well, that's the thing. They were trying to bring it into the MCU with that because they had fucking Michael Keaton appear at the end of Venom 2.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, they wanted that to happen. And
then Venom appeared in the Spider-Man movie.
yes.
So is he Is Venom in the Amazing Spider-Man universe when that movie starts? Venom 3?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm going to spoil it for myself right now. I don't give a shit.
Because you're looking at MCU and we're looking at the multiverse here. So,
All right, let me see here.
all right,
After
what you
being
got?
transported to Earth 616 by Doctor Strange's spell, Eddie Brock and the Venom symbiote are drunk at a bar in Mexico. While speaking to a bartender about Thanos and the Infinity Stones, they're forced back to their home universe on Earth 688. See, just setting up shit for no fucking reason. Like, they put him in Earth 616 just to make everybody think they were going to do something mildly interesting, just to do something boring as fuck.
It wasn't even to be mildly interesting. It's basically just to say that everything Marvel movie wise is canon. They've gone so far out of their way to do that. Like, yeah, these X-Men movies are canon because, they're part of this other extended universe. They're part of the multiverse, which to some degree I get. Okay, you're doing a multiverse story. You want to incorporate all that. You want to make all this other stuff make sense with it. Sure, fine, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you're really going way out of your way to like spoon feed it to people. And I don't think they needed to do that for all this. But
Yeah.
who knows how much they had to pivot with some of this shit because, it's a mess. Don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I guess we can kind of close this thing out, man. We've gone way down the rabbit hole, way beyond just but it was good to talk MCU though, man. We haven't talked about this in forever.
Yeah.
Are you more excited for MCU after this movie or less?
It has not moved. The bar is just like, like until we get to those Avengers movies, I don't know if I'm going to give too much of a fuck. I'll give a big fuck about the next Spider-Man movie or X-Men. Like Spider-Man and X-Men, anything I kind of just love.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly, not these Spider-Man-less villain movies though, but Spider-Man and X-Men stuff, that's my shit through and through. So I'll be excited for those. The Avengers ones, surely because they have to pull something together for that. And Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four look decent enough too. So
yeah, like my excitement level is kind of like where I'm at with Star Wars right now.
I'm even worse off with that.
Well, I'm way lower in Star Wars, but like I'm not even finished with what the fuck is that series called? Skeleton Crew. I'm not even done with that yet. I've been
You're not even done with that?
Uh-uh.
I never watched Mandalorian season 3, bro. That's how done with this shit I am.
Yeah, and you have to have a reason to do it. Just because you have the rights to it doesn't mean you should be putting out subpar content. It's tough, I get, right? Because, you want to build a brand, you want to build a franchise, but with the MCU, like we're almost at a spot where like, are they just going to continue this forever? At some point in time, or do they just start over again? Because there's no shame in doing that.
Yeah, I just don't like the mixture of medias. I think that's a weird me thing. I don't like mixing TV shows and movies. I'd rather you just do one or the other because it becomes so convoluted and it's like, okay, I want to get caught up on the story. Now I got to watch 8 hours of a fucking show.
Well, yeah, and the quality of those is hit or miss. Like, had you made that a 2-hour movie, it may have been better because you would have chopped out a lot of the shit that was just filler.
Yeah.
So it's very up and down with some of that shit for sure. I mean, I see that and I'm like, I don't know. And like Marvel, I love the MCU stuff through Endgame. Then after that, I'm kind of like, having a hard time finding my excitement level get up for it. But I say that now, and then, if the stuff that comes out later this year is good, I'll be happy. And, if they can build you that excitement level of Endgame, which I don't think they're ever going to be able to build that level of hype again.
Well, they can't because they went far back. Like that stuff, every movie that was coming out was giving you a trinket of something to come, which I get that they can't continuously do all the time. And that got old even. But, just like the Avengers movie, Thanos is in that fucking movie.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what he's doing and where that's going.
Yeah.
And then you see more of that in Guardians of the Galaxy. And they slowly put these nuggets of things and everybody knows what's coming. This does not have that. They were like, we're going to do Kang. Here's Kang as a villain. And then he gets his ass whooped. And everybody was like, all right, well, we're moving on from that.
Yeah, like, okay.
What
Well,
else
that
you
was
got?
one. I mean, that was one of the biggest misfires in the fucking MCU, is because they show us all this shit in the first two Ant-Man movies about what it looks like, and then they fucking retconned everything we know. Like, there's all these germ people down there now, and you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, could you not have just fucking done something different? Because this is dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, they went out of their way and they had Bill Murray in the movie, and they made a fucking terrible movie. You have Paul Rudd and fucking Bill Murray in a movie, and you managed to make a movie that's not good. The fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, Ant-Man 3 is just, I mean, there's certain movies in the MCU that I'm like, I doubt I'll ever watch again. Or maybe sometime if I decide to get a wild hair at my ass, be like, oh, let me go watch the Ant-Man movies.
I'd have to get like a wild hair at my ass that's like, you need to watch all of the MCU stuff.
Yeah. If I get Alzheimer's someday, maybe, and I forget everything, maybe I'll go through and rewatch everything because I don't remember. You know what I'm saying?
That'd be sick.
Could you imagine seeing Endgame again for the first time? Pretty fucking crazy, huh?
Standing up in the nursing home and like being like, yeah, as soon as Captain America gets the Mjolnir.
Yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
That kicks ass.
I'd be like,
Remember, he tried to lift it in one of the other movies.
Grandpa, turn your visor off.
You remember Pornhub?
Do you remember
Back when
TV
porn
before
was legal.
smell-o-vision?
Yeah. All right. Go fetch me my sex bot. Grandpa's got a jizz.
It's twisted.
That's the future.
That's the future. For you, if you forget, you might be able to re-watch the MCU, start to finish.
Oh, God.
But then, knowing what we know now, would you watch all the X-Men stuff and start with those? That's a big question. That's for a whole other conversation date, though.
You have to go X-Man and Spider-Man and Blade.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, what's the furthest back, X-Men? Or is it Blade?
No, Blade was really the movie that...
Blade was 98.
Blade came before X-Men, I believe, right?
Yeah, X-Men was 99, right?
Because that was...
2000.
And that was when all those rights were sold off because fucking Marvel
Blade's-
was deep shit back then.
As of right now, Blade's the first movie in the MCU, I think.
Very nice. So yeah, if you
Thanks.
forget everything, do you go back and start with Blade? And then you think about how many assholes have played more than one character in this MCU extended universe.
Yeah. Well, Ron Reynolds is in Blade 2, which is why that's funny to begin with.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, he goes on to become Deadpool. So
Not after playing him for the first time in X-Men Origins Wolverine, though.
God damn, that was an abomination of a movie.
Yeah, there were some scenes in it that were pretty cool, but like overall, it's pretty bad.
The concept was entertaining. The execution was pretty fucked up.
I still think X-Men 3 is underrated.
Oh, for sure. That was a good ending to that trilogy there.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we've fucking gone on forever. Now we're just talking shit on different things. So let's close this thing out and we'll be back at it next week.
All right.
So we'll see you back at it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you then.
Good night.
Good night.
I'm going to have to say good night.
Gonna have to say